Is there anything that's being done with our auto manufacturers or diesel engine manufacturers that's sort of on the same scale to, either stipulate to increase fuel efficiencies or, engine adaptation so that they're able to burn alternative fuels like hydrogen or other things?
We actually have a requirement in the bill that by the year 2015, 2016, 85% of vehicles have to be able to run on something other than gasoline. So there is an alternative energy requirement.
Now, what was that year again? Sorry.
I think it's 2016. I'll verify that. You have the.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've got it in the car, but we do have a. I call it a flex fuel mandate because the flex fuel implies ethanol, but it actually goes farther than that. It would include any type of alternative energy, including ethanol. But there is a requirement that auto manufacturers begin now to build automobiles that run on alternative forms of energy. I think there is also of course we, a year ago in the energy bill, raised what they call the CAFE standards, which are the fuel efficiency standards. By the year 2022, the requirement is that cars and light trucks have to get to 35 miles a gallon. So that's in there. And then there's also economic incentives for automobile manufacturers to produce more. There's the mandate in there on alternative fuels or alternative forms of energy, but there are also a number of sort of incentive-based ideas where tax credits, tax deductions, et cetera, to encourage automobile manufacturers to begin to move us away from this from automobiles that are operated strictly on petroleum-based products.
Some of the economic forecasters are actually saying, or certain things that I've been reading, that the pressure from energy costs and that are not really going to get any better, and that in this interim, until we come up with some kind of alternative, there's going to be a renaissance of sorts of perhaps more localized. Our local economies will increase because of that, or. But what's your thoughts on that as far as what you see?
I think you're starting to see a little bit of that already. People now who might have driven to Sioux Falls to shop at Sam's Club because they thought they could buy, a gallon of milk, a lower cost there than they might be able to buy it at the local supermarket here. Now saying, okay, $4 a gallon, that's round trip, that's 120. That's 6 gallons of gasoline at $4. That's $25. I think people are starting to make these. They're rational, making rational decisions. They're making economic decisions, and I think they're seeing more people shopping at home. We are hearing, and it's anecdotal. I haven't seen any statistics to bear this out, that hardware stores, grocery stores, and some of the smaller communities are having good years this year. And I've actually talked to people where I was eventually going to stay and visit with somebody here in Yankton this morning who had some anecdotal evidence to that effect that these stores are doing better. So it may mean that people stay home to shop, and that if there is a silver lining in all this, maybe that's it. With some more smaller communities, they do business at home. That's why we did.
Well, now with the Dakota Wind Energy Group that's proposing to do the community-owned development, how would the tax credit work for something like that, where you have the landowners actually having a percentage of ownership in the entire project? Would the individuals be?
Yeah, they figure out a way to allocate that. They do that on other types of projects where you've got these types of incentives in place, and distributed among, I think, the various owners of the project. I don't know for sure the answer to that, how it would work with the PTC, but my guess is it would kind of be the same, work the same way.
Any updates on that?
One of the things I will tell you is that the rural electrics are not big fans of wind because they're not for profits, so they can't take the PTC. But what we've tried to do is we created what we call clean renewable energy bonds, which is a bonding authority that the municipals could use to fund wind projects, and so it's our way. Krebs, yeah. And so anyway, that's the mechanism that if you're a municipal or public power agency or rural electric, that you can actually get some sort of financial incentive to build wind, even though you don't benefit from PTC.
Just other one, I think on the internet says, hey, do you have any updates on Hyperion or TransCanada? My understanding is those projects are, TransCanada's going to build their pipeline here in Yankton this fall. Do you have any more updates on those projects?
Not really. I know that Hyperion's doing the permitting stuff, which I'm told is supposed to, if everything stays on schedule, they'll complete sometime, first or second quarter of next year. And they'll, start moving to the financing stage. That's, but I don't know, I mean, that I think probably changes regularly. I think it's gonna depend on, I suspect at some point they're gonna be facing litigation. I can't imagine that, the outside groups that are opposed to these types of projects aren't gonna file lawsuits to try and slow it down. But then with regard to TransCanada, I do think that's moving forward, at least the eastern part of the state. I was in Berto on Saturday in my hometown, and there's a lot of pushback against against that out there right now. Although I think that most people are for it, but there are always people who, those are usually the ones you hear from, the people who are opposed to it.
You're a little different than your colleagues because you're not in an election cycle this year.
Yeah.
You've had a little time to sit back and think, in a way,
Maybe
that's
why I
what
like my job this
I was
year.
gonna say. Well, we had landslide Daschle. I don't know. You've been through some tight ones yourself. So, do you, just in general, have any thoughts on your political future? I know Stephanie gets asked hers. I mean, it's just that if it's in the wind, I don't know. But just any thoughts? Because obviously you're very highly regarded in DC. Any thoughts where you'd like to go in the future?
No. I mean, other than I'm doing this, and I've got 2 years left in my term. I gotta make a decision, I guess, whether or not to try and re-up or ask for another term from people in South Dakota. But at this point, I guess that's the only thing I really aspire to do. I think we're doing some good things. I get frustrated a lot, pull my hair out a lot in this job. But on the other hand, there are some things that we're working on right now that I find to be very promising. And there are some things about the job when you get some things done that are very rewarding too. I think you always want to feel like you're doing something that's purposeful, and I think what I'm doing right now is, I hope it has some meaning and purpose for the people that I'm trying to work for. So, no, I don't. I'm right now very happy doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
Interesting.
So there's ongoing litigation between BY Water and the city of Yankton. I know the city officials have lobbied you to maybe some assistance in finding a resolution. Have you been very involved with that?
Well, we've asked both parties, the delegation has been involved in asking both parties to try and settle this. It sounds like the mediation efforts that they attempted failed, so far at least. Now they're going to go the litigation route, which is unfortunate. I mean, you really would like to see this thing get resolved and settled, because it does have a lot of implications for growth in Yankton and Yankton County. So yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and once it gets into the legal system, I'm not sure as much we can do to influence it, but we have requested, the delegation has, that both sides sit down and try and negotiate something and see if they can't work it out, because that's clearly the preferred alternative. But